even though summer's coming round, I will sail across the sea just to see you on the bright side. When the wind is cold and angry, there won't be to take me inside.
What's up, everybody? Ace Overlord here, back again, and in this video I'm going to be explaining all 5 of the new weapons that came out in the Love and War update. So I'm going to be giving you guys the pros and cons of each weapon, what they do and how they work, and my personal opinions of them. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So starting us off, we've got the Backscatter. Now this is a replacement for the scatter gun for the Scout. And I've got to say, this has got to be one of my favorite weapons that was added in this update. It is so much fun, and let me give you the details. First off, it mini crits targets when you fire at their back and you're at close range. So it's almost like a spy stab gun when you think about it. When you shoot them from behind, it does mini crits. Not as much damage as a spy knife would, but it still does quite a lot of damage. That's the only pro. Now, some of the cons are that it's got a minus 34% clip size. This means you're only going to have 4 shots per a clip. It's not a big deal. To some people it might be when you're comparing it to the default scatter gun, but it doesn't really affect me personally. I still think it's awesome without those extra shots. It also does no random critical hits. Now, that doesn't really matter either because it's not really the stats of the gun at that point, it's just luck and percentages there. So that doesn't really affect gunplay as much as you think it would. And finally, it's got 20% less accuracy than the default scattergun. Now, this is sort of a big deal, but when you think about how you're going to be using this gun, it makes a lot of sense. This gun was made to be used up close and personal, up against people, and trying to fire at a distance doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't do a lot of damage anyway because the bullets will spread. So I really like this weapon, and it's a lot of fun, very useful. It's definitely going to be one of those top tier scatter guns, right up there with the Babyface's blaster and the default, and it's just a really awesome gun. So that's going to be it for the scatter gun. Let's move on to the next weapon, which is even better in my opinion than this one. Now you're probably asking yourself, what could be better than a gun that acts like a backstab? And I'll tell you what. The Tide Turner, a new shield for the demo man, and the best shield in my opinion for any demo knight out there. This has to be my favorite weapon that was added in the update. It is absolutely insane. Let me read you guys the pros and cons and you'll see why. Starting off, we got plus 25% fire damage resistance on wearer, plus 25% explosive damage resistance on wearer, and wait for it, full turning control while charging. We asked for it. We begged for it. We thought we had it with the Alibaba's We Booties, but we didn't, and now we finally do. Turning control while charging. This opens up so many opportunities with the demo knight. You're able to bob and weave. You're able to do U-turns. You're able to just go in circles if you feel like it, and it's okay. And then one more pro is kills while charging. Refill 100% of your charge meter. So now for being a good demo knight and getting kills, you're going to be able to charge more often and get even more kills. This is insane. And one of the best parts is, this shield doesn't take up your primary slot like the Alibaba's We Booties do. So you're still able to keep your grenade launcher and be able to do damage at a distance without getting up close if you don't feel like doing a charge. Now there are some pretty significant cons to this weapon. I'm just kidding, there are no cons. There is no downside to having this shield. I don't know why anybody would be using anything other than the Tide Turner from now on. I know I'm not. This shield is absolutely insane. This is all I've been doing with Demo Man recently, is just charging with the Tide Turner. And it's definitely one of the best weapons that was added in this update. Next up, we've got the Classic, an interesting sniper rifle for the sniper. In my opinion, one of the coolest rifles in the sniper's arsenal. Let me read you guys the pros and cons. Pros are, you can charge and fire your shots independent of zoom. What this means is, you can charge your shots without having to be zoomed in. you charge your shots by holding down your fire button. Now you're able to charge a shot without being zoomed in, zoom in on somebody, zoom out, check your surroundings, and you'll still have that charge that you had previous. So this is pretty crazy because now Sniper isn't such a distance class as he was before. You're able to get a little closer to people because now instead of having to rely on getting headshots to do a lot of damage, you can get a little closer and you don't have to be zoomed in order to get a headshot. Now you can headshot people and be like right next to them and you don't have to zoom in at all. And that's what makes this sniper rifle really interesting in my opinion. Now the cons are you cannot headshot somebody when you're not fully charged. This isn't a big con in my opinion because you're probably going to have a fully charged shot anyway because you can charge without zooming. So it's not really a big problem in my opinion. Another con is you got minus 10% damage on body shots. Now this sort of makes sense because Valve doesn't want people just running up and doing 400 damage to somebody all the time and just not having to care about zooming in or making a precise shot. So it sort of makes it so you have to look for those shots. It's still a lot of damage anyway, but I like how they made it so you still have to look for the precision. But anyway, this sniper rifle is very interesting and I like it a lot. Next up, we've got the Airstrike, a new rocket launcher for the soldier, and this rocket launcher is one of the most fun to use in my opinion, the way that you could just spam shots, especially when you use it with the base jumper, which I'm going to explain next. But first, let's talk about the pros and cons of the Airstrike. The pros are, you have increased attack speed while blast jumping. Now when I say blast jumping, this means it doesn't have to just be you rocket jumping. You could get launched by another person's rocket, or you could get launched by a demo's stickies, and you'll still have the increased attack speed, which is pretty awesome. Next, your clip size is increased on every kill you get. Now this has a max of 8 kills however, so you can't get up to 20 shots per clip and just go crazy from the skies, even though that would be pretty awesome. But still, the amount of shots you get is very high. It's almost all of your ammo for just one clip, so it is enough in my opinion. Now the cons are, you have minus 25% damage. Now this is kind of a big deal because before you get a lot of shots, you start off with 3. Now, those 3 rockets by themselves, they're enough to kill, say, a sniper or a scout. They're not able to kill some of those beefier classes. So until you get more rockets, it's a little bit of damage. It's just a tiny bit. So it's going to take a while for you to get those kills, but once you finally do, the ball gets rolling and you start doing a lot of more damage. Next up, you have minus 25% clip size. This is what I was talking about before. You only start off with 3 shots. But since your clip size is increased with every kill, it's not a huge matter, but in the start, it kind of is. And then you've got minus 15 explosion radius. This makes me think of the direct hit mixed with the beggar's bazooka, because you're firing so many shots, but those shots don't have as much blast radius. So it's not a big deal in my opinion. I think this weapon is still very good without the blast radius because since you're going to be firing up to 6 rockets at a time at some points, you don't really need to worry about blast radius. You just have to worry about getting in the general area of the enemy. But once you've got that down, you're pretty much golden and you're just doing a bunch of damage from the sky, just peppering down below with explosions and rockets. It's a lot of fun, guys. And finally, we've got the base jumper. This is equipable for both the soldier and the demo man. What this does is, mid-air, if you hit your jump key, it will deploy a parachute that will slow your descent. That's it. There's no pros, there's no cons, it just deploys a parachute. Now this may not sound like a lot, but trust me, it is, especially if you're playing a soldier and you have the Airstrike, because then you're going to have an increased attack speed for a long amount of time, because just being in the air, rocket jumping and then opening your parachute, it still counts as a rocket jump. This is also very good because you're going to have a height advantage over your enemies, so when they're taking damage, they're going to look around them. The last place they're going to look is directly up, and that's where you're going to be killing them before they get a chance to counterattack. Now, there's no official cons for this, but I have to say there's a lot of weapons that counter it. Mostly just the sniper rifles and the reserve shooter. Sniper rifles because since you're so slow descending, it makes it easier for snipers to hit you. And the reserve shooter because you're in the air. The reserve shooter is going to do so much damage to you. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, I find the base jumper so much fun and very useful. So I hope this video was very helpful for you guys. I hope you now have a better grasp on what each of the weapons does from the new update. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and comment below. Love to hear what you guys have to say, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, guys, I'm A.S.E. Overlord. See ya.